is the sound of redemption. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. Igniting the fire within you. Exalting the melody of freedom. These are the things that will bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Down, down, down.
Let me tell you, it's in the air. Joy is in the air. Love is in the air. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down. Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness, and let's bring it way down.
Riding the river of change into the cries of contrition. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. We are the children of Eden, dancing and celebrating freedom. We are the ones that must bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. We've got to bring it down. Down. Stand up and shout. Stand up and shout. Rise together.
Accountability starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Yeah. Rise up. Stand up, shouting loud.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
Good morning.
morning. Happy Deirdre Viney Day. I didn't forget. And today is Tuesday, and it is a glorious day that we are all here above ground, right? And what my dad used to say, every day above ground is a good day. You know, if you have your health, everything else can be worked out. So if you're listening to the show, if you're watching the show, it's a good day. Everything else could be worked out. So no matter how overwhelming things may seem, you have an opportunity to right the ship. So some of the things that we'll be talking about today will hopefully give you, some tools to add to your toolbox to help you do that. Welcome, Deirdre.
Good morning. How are you?
I told you, I'm exhausted. I am exhausted. I am so tired. I'm deliriously tired. My day starts at about 3 to 3:30 every morning. And Vincent says, by the time I do the show, I've done more work than most people do in a whole day. So what is it, 10 o'clock now? So I've literally been working for 7 hours before I come on here. And then when I get off, I'll be doing some more work. I'm probably averaging, I hope my doctors, and more importantly, I hope my mother and sister aren't listening, because I lie to them. I tell them I'm getting a lot of sleep. But I'm probably averaging 4.5 hours of sleep, which isn't terribly good for my health condition. I've lost a considerable amount of weight. I think I'm, Deirdre,
Yes.
I haven't weighed myself lately, but I think I'm about 155 pounds.
Oh my goodness. You are about to disappear.
It's my middle school weight, Deirdre. I'm about to break out.
Probably because you're on your feet if you're cooking, and
I'm about
you're probably not eating as well as you could or should. That'll do it.
Yeah, I'm about to break out my Swedish knits from when I was in high school, in elementary school. I could probably fit them. But anyway, I'm gonna get some rest, hopefully a little bit after the show, and then I'll carry on. But there've been some exciting things happening, and I don't want to spend the show talking about it, but I do want to thank you all for the support that you've given me and to my family as we've launched this, what we hope is a legacy building business enterprise. So I want to thank you all. And Deirdre, well, you're in West Orange, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We're going to be at the West Orange Farmers Market this weekend.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, yeah, it's a great farmer's market.
Yes, we will be there. We will have my grandma Emma's peach cobbler. About 2 weeks ago, I unveiled the apple cobbler at the Maplewood Farmers Market, and it literally, we sold out in about 25 minutes. And so I brought it back again yesterday, and I don't even know if it lasted that long. And then I unveiled her blueberry cobbler yesterday, and that went, like, literally, we sold out of everything. Every Monday we sell out of everything. And the folks in Maplewood, that community is very, they're a community. They are a community. Hold on, we got Vincent calling in. Mr. Squire, welcome to the show.
Hey, brother, how you doing?
I'm all right, man. You sound like you're dragging.
No, just drugged.
Same difference. So, Deirdre, I don't know if you watched yesterday's show, but Vincent is dealing with some cancer issues, and was getting he had a treatment yesterday, or he had not a treatment, he had a procedure yesterday, which was needed as a result of the cancer. And so we spent about an hour yesterday talking about cancer and health issues in the Black community, all those kinds of things. But I'm glad you were able to call in, brother. And I hope you're doing all right. What kind of drugs do they have you on?
I don't know, but they give it to me every 3 hours. and I can't feel my legs after that.
Wow. Hey, Deidre,
So-
what is the heaviest like medical drug you've taken?
It would have to be, wow, what is that?
Oxycodone?
No, stronger than that.
Morphine?
Yes,
Yes.
morphine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, man, when I had my surgery, they told me, and I thought I was a man's man, right? And they said, before I went in to have my surgery, they said, Mr. Dawson, when you come out and you're in recovery, you're going to be hooked up to this machine, and you're going to have a button, and you can push the button anytime you need to for pain relief. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Man, I was screaming for this button. I was pushing that button every 2 seconds. And it was a morphine drip. And they had given me an epidural. They did all kinds of stuff, man. And then they prescribed oxycodone. I took a quarter of one of those pills, and I was done. I don't understand how these people in the street take that drug. And they take 30 milligrams of it.
I know, right? I'm the same way. I am a lightweight when it comes to drugs, alcohol, aspirin. I mean, I could take Tylenol and be high. So, when they give me stuff like morphine, man, it's over for me. So, in fact, the procedure went well. They did cut a little piece of my intestine. Which they took it out because the tumor was between my pancreas, my kidneys, and my intestine.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So she explained to me that what the results of that is that I will lose roughly 20 to 37 pounds.
Yeah, man. Yep. Hey, Vincent, welcome to my world. Welcome to my world, Vincent. Hey, listen. Did you throw away your middle school clothes? I'll give you some of mine. Oh gosh. Well, anyway, listen. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you called in. I'm glad you are on the mend, and be careful with the medication. Right. So, Deidre.
Yes. I have a couple of things rolling in my brain. What's up?
No. So let's hear what's rolling in your brain.
So what I was going to talk about was how to get more money, if you're working now, and what that looks like. But if you don't want to talk about that, we can talk about something else.
No.
I know folks are concerned with getting jobs and whatnot, but one of the things I was going to talk about was how to make sure that you are getting what you're worth and how to ask for that in the appropriate way.
So how do you know what you're worth?
That's a good question. I mean, you can do a lot of research online to kind of figure out where your job is in relation to others in your market. I mean, a kind of a basic search might just be looking online to see what other positions are similar to yours. Even ones such as Career Builder, they actually have a section where you can see kind of a range of pay ranges for your skill set. And so you have an idea there. Asking around, that's a touchy one, but you should just kind of look and see what's out there in the market, just checking the competition and talking to them. Your salary range is so open though, because it really all depends on sort of skill set, sometimes longevity of the company, but you want to have some kind of idea of what you're worth.
Well, I'll tell you this. Well, first, let me comment. Munira, be safe in Ohio. Munira just posted, I gotta say this, she just posted that our song, Down, 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 should be a #1 hit. If you look at what's happening right now and you listen to the lyrics of this song, it speaks to everything that is happening right now. And we've been playing this song for almost a year. My brother wrote and produced this song. And in fact, he's in contact with some folks from Black Lives Matter who want to take this song as the anthem. Now, I don't know that he should do that. I'm not sure. I'll talk to him. But the song, listen to the lyrics. How forward thinking was he? When you look at the statues coming down, when you look at the political elite coming down, when you look at all of it coming down, and the only way we're going to find relief is if it all comes down, down, down,
Down, down, down.
down, down, down. So Deirdre, listen, so in terms of what you're worth, right? When I graduated School of Visual Arts, there was a book called the Graphic Arts Guild, and the Graphic Arts Guild was supposed to be the guide to determining how much to charge for services, right? And literally, it had in there a logo design is $5,000, whatever is whatever. And people were actually going through that book. And so if you called me at that time, even though I just graduated, I went to the Graphic Arts Guild and said $5,000 if you want a logo. And we would use as a measure what Westinghouse paid to get their logo done, that little W with the light bulbs on both ends of the W. And we said, well, look, this is what they paid for theirs, because it was the longevity of the logo that we were looking at. Not that I'm doing this artwork now, but what this artwork is going to represent in terms of intellectual property for you moving forward, right? And so I was charging you, or we were told to charge based on that. And so I didn't do many logos at $5,000 coming out of high school. Coming out of college. But, and then now, when I go and look, like if I were to go look at what a creative director charges, what they charge, what they want to pay for a creative director or an art director, I couldn't live on that. I mean, with my skill set, if I go on Indeed or any of those places, I think the art director, creative director is probably like $85,000, $95,000, maybe $100 thousand. I left corporate America making a lot more than that. But everything has been driven down, 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 right? And so I couldn't, so for me, determining my worth, it is outside of the box of all of those things.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And sometimes, especially if you're talking about consulting work, you know what? You can sometimes put it out there for what you feel you're worth. Are you talking specifically like not a full-time gig, but something that's like, I want to do this for you, I want to do that for you?
Or a job or assignment.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Well, both, right? So it's crazy. Like a full-time gig. Hey, Vincent, are you at your computer able to do a Google search?
No, actually, I'm talking to my doctor here.
Oh, you?
I am, Eric. I am. What do you need?
So just go and look and see what a creative director or an art director salary is.
Yeah, you're in the show. Come on.
Creative director, New York City.
Yeah, New York City.
Okay.
So wait a minute, you had to stay in the hospital, Vincent?
Yeah, she's about to give me some meds.
Uh-oh. Vincent Squire out.
93 to 105 is what Career Builder's saying.
Right. So.
And they're saying with a master's, 113.
Right.
Bachelor's, 104.
Right. And so
this is me going on Career Builder, kind of. That's the one that's kind of a nice go-to for folks to consider when you want to get an idea of where you think you might fall within. And, and it's very regionally based. Obviously, New York may pay definitely much different than, say, Florida.
Right.
So.
Now, I wouldn't take a creative director position for anything under $175,000. Right? So now that's my worth. Right? And I'm gonna let them negotiate me down to somewhere in that vicinity, but
right.
I'm gonna.
And these are averages, so a lot of times they'll say here, like it says between average amount.
Oh.
And so depending on where you fall in, but getting back to your point too, is that when you're talking about what your pay is and what you should be getting at your company, you want to make sure that you're sharing your goals and that you're going to share with them what you've been doing over the past couple of months or a year so that they can kind of understand where you fit within that, realm of expertise within the organization. So you don't want to be at a place and kind of just plugging along and not letting your bosses and other folks understand where you fit into that larger scheme of things.
Okay. Yeah. But you do have to know your worth, right? You have to know what you bring, just like a baseball player, right? You got one baseball player who might be making $200,000 a year, and you got another one who signed a $30 million contract. Then you got another one who signed a $300 million contract. Hey, Vincent, mute it for a minute. Mute it for a minute, Vince. Thanks. Do you understand what I'm saying?
By the way, the medication you said you wanted to know?
Uh-huh.
I got my nurse extraordinaire here, Lauren Estrella. Yeah, St. Thomas Jefferson University Hospital. She's giving me Protonics.
Yes.
Protonic.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you'll be out shortly, Vincent. So, hey, Deirdre, when we hear
dedicated caller in. That's awesome.
When we hear thud, we'll know that Vincent's out. You say boof. So, but like I was saying, a baseball player is not a baseball player, right? Each baseball player knows his worth. Some baseball players who play Major League Baseball, like I said, they may be making $200,000 a year. Then you got another baseball player who signed a $300 million contract, right? So just because your title is that, right, baseball player or first baseman, it's what you do as a first baseman or what you do as a whatever it is your career is, and the value that you add and have added and can show through impact data to previous companies, right? So that's why it's important. We've talked about this on previous shows, right, Deidre, that when you're doing your interview, right, you're talking about all of that, right? And you're not just talking to flap your gums. You're talking and you're sharing all of this to show value. So when you drop that number, they understand why you're dropping a number.
Right. So this is the assumption that you have the job now is kind of the premise I'm looking to go off of. But I hear you when you're talking about when you're looking to negotiate salaries. But if you're on the job now, you figure out, you know what, I am not making what I'm worth. What kind of confidence level can you get to go to the company and to say, hey, this is why I think I'm worth this, and this is why. And like I said, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about taking on more responsibility, and a lot of times they might be letting people go or shifting things around, and this is the time to really prove what you have done and demonstrate it and explain to your boss, hey, listen, these are the responsibilities you added to my, tutelage or tool belt, and I've done this for you, I've done that for you, and I feel I should be compensated appropriately. I think that's a fair question and comment, statement I should say, to ask to your boss with confidence.
Yeah.
Because you're going to go in there with information and data that shows that what you've done. Now, my suggestion is you're not going to do that 2 days in. If you're talking about something that more responsibility, you need a track record to demonstrate what you've done over a period of time before you tout in there to ask for some more money or even a position or whatnot.
This is very interesting because my oldest daughter was working for a company, and they were working her like a dog, and she would call me a daddy, and I said, well, it builds character, right? And, it stress tests you in your ability to multitask, right? To manage multiple projects and to, and you can, really see, what you're made of. And so she did that because they downsized, but and then they took that workload from the people that they let go and they shared it amongst the people who were left, and they didn't increase their salaries. So at some point she said, Daddy, I want to go and talk to my boss about a raise, but I don't want to seem ungrateful. And so I said, well, let's sit down and evaluate what it is you do, what you did when you got there, what you were hired to do, right? Based on the salary they offered you, what you were hired to do. and now what you have been doing for nearly a year, in addition to what they originally hired you to do, right? And so now when we laid all of that out, I said, so now you can see that, you know, you're doing a lot more. Like if you had gone and interviewed for this job that you're doing now, you would have been, you know, you would have expected the salary to be much higher than it is. So I said, so when you go to talk to your boss, you know, just indicate that, you know, I said, you know, indicate, you know, bring the reviews that you've gotten, which were exemplary, right? And so bring those up, bring all of that information up. She did, and she got an increase.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
Yeah. Because, you know, one of the things that people know, like they know what turnover is, and they know how costly, companies know how costly turnover could be. So if you take an employee like that and you let them walk out the door, especially if they've done a great job, right? And now you're gonna watch them walk out the door. You're gonna have to bring somebody new in, and you're probably, if you're gonna list all of what she had done in a job description, you're gonna pay more anyway, right? And then you're gonna have to take that learning curve. You got to add that and what it cost the company for the learning curve. It was a better decision for them to keep her.
Yeah, I think a couple of things you did there is that she came in there armored with information. Sometimes people just say, well, my expenses went up and therefore I should make more money. That's not going to be a good reason to get a raise. You need to demonstrate why you had a value to the organization, and, you know, quantifiable information would be even better, right? You save the money, you started this project, you've taken on these extra responsibilities, and so now you can really just demonstrate it to them. You know, you think sometimes senior leaders are paying attention, and they probably are, but you just want to make sure that you're showing them to them in a real concrete way so that states your case. And one of the things I think that you probably told her too is probably they might say no. I mean, we're in a situation now where companies might say, well, yeah, this is going on, and I'm really sorry. But I think that it's still a good idea to consider having an open conversation about the responsibilities you've done and how you've added value to that company, and be able to walk away with your head up high and, you know, consider other options if you need to, or just kind of, you know, stay with the company and really evaluate, but at least they'll know where you stand and with things you've done over that period of time.
I think of it more like the procedure that you're talking about is more like the contract negotiation for professional athletes. They're looking at their stats, they're looking at their performance, and they're showing the employer what they're bringing to the table and how valuable they are to the corporation.
Exactly. And like you said, Eric, turnover is costly.
It is costly.
And it doesn't mean that person's going in there and saying, well, give me this money or I'm leaving. No, I think it's an honest, professional conversation to have about what you feel you're worth and what you've done to add value to the company and where you can go forward. I mean, a lot of times there's situations where you want to ask for a promotion too, and what does that look like? I want to go into a different department, I want to do other things. The same kind of situation would hold still. You're going to have to show up and demonstrate and have a real concrete list of things that you've accomplished over a period of time so that they can feel comfortable saying, you know, okay, well, I'm going to make that recommendation. So all those really bold, very similar.
You know, I think part of the challenge with some people is they have this notion that they should just be grateful that they have a job, you know. But if you look at your job as a partnership to some extent, right? This symbiotic relationship that you have with this business, where they're paying you, but you're helping them, right? So it's not just a job. You're actually helping them. You're bringing, so like Vincent said, you're bringing something to the table. And I know people use that phrase, but by that I mean I'm helping you. I'm helping you save money. I'm helping you streamline processes. I'm helping your bottom line. Your revenue stream was this before I got there, and it's this now. And I can show you exactly where in that peak, my performance played a role in it, right? So now it's a symbiotic relationship. We're working together. You're providing me with something of value, but I'm also providing you of something with value. And if it's understood that that's what's happening, then I think the person who's asking for a raise or asking for a promotion is less sheepish about doing so, because they're very clear about the relationship they have with the company they work for, and how the company is benefiting from their skill set.
Right, and I think you also, in that same conversation, you talk about the future, and you talk about what that looks like and what are things that you'd like to get accomplished with the company, so that make it kind of, you have your who's into the organization, where they don't want to get rid of you, or they don't want you to leave, I should say. They want you to stay. They know the value that you bring to the plate. It always has to be a situation of a win-win, right? You have to like it. They have to like you. It can't be somebody's losing. So you need to definitely talk about what that looks like going forward, so they can feel comfortable with kind of giving you additional responsibilities and really pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
So are people of color paid less for the same skill sets as white?
That is such a challenging thing to answer, to be honest with you. I know there's studies out there that show that, but especially on the professional level, it can really range. And if you're going for a job, just like Eric mentioned earlier, you need to be an advocate for yourself. You need to understand what the pay is, and what the pay is the ranges, and really fight to get the amount that you feel that you're worth based on the research you've done. And if you come in, like you just said, Eric, and you're okay, you just want to take a job, you might make less because you kind of settle. So I think that's a really great area for how that is determined if you're paid less than some counterparts.
How do you determine that? Because a lot of, when I worked as a partner, we swore an oath and contract to not disclosing information like salaries to anybody else except for that person.
Mm-hmm.
So how can that be accurately assessed?
It is very challenging. That's what I'm saying. When people say, "Well, someone makes less than someone else,"
You're like, how do you know?
Exactly. How do you know? There's lots of intel out there, sort of general information on salaries, but to have it sector down by race and sex and I definitely know there's information out there. I just don't know how to kind of can make that clear-cut statement to say that.
Right, because you don't have sufficient data to actually make it. Okay. Well, I believe a lot of people do feel that they are being underpaid. Correct?
So they got to do some research.
Oh well, I think everybody thinks they're underpaid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, everybody could have a little extra in their pocket.
Yeah, I was self-employed. I still thought I was underpaid.
Yeah. Underpaid and underappreciated.
Underappreciated, yeah. Had to have a talk with my boss.
Yeah, that's an interesting conversation, Vincent. How did that go?
I lost.
Yeah, when you're self-employed, you lose a lot, right? You always lose. The company wins, you lose.
The company wins, exactly.
That's right.
So, wait. Do you think that taking the boss out to lunch is a great way to ask for a raise?
There's never a bad time. Well, I shouldn't say that there's a bad time, but I think that
you don't want to ask for a raise right after restructuring, right? And people getting laid off.
Yeah, you want it to be a comfortable time and a comfortable setting, and you definitely want to practice. I think we talked a couple weeks ago just about practicing your interview. Mm-hmm. You want to practice the questions that might come at you about why you're asking for this money. you have to have a couple things written down so that you're not stumbling over your words, and you can concretely say what the situation is. You want to get your boss in a good mood, so yeah, maybe lunch is a good time to do that. I sometimes, find more casual conversations like that can get fluttered with the noise of a restaurant or whatever. So I tend to like a more professional environment in the office when you're having a business conversation about this, so that you're not interrupted. You can get your clear things apart. Get set time on their schedule so that they can set up and talk with you.
If you know your boss likes lattes, bring him a latte, or her a latte, right?
There you go.
There you go. Something. But so here's the other thing, and it depends, because I've been on both sides. You have some bosses who, well, wait a minute. So there are a bunch of different things, because within companies you have layers. You have middle management, you have upper management. And if you're going to your middle management boss and asking for a raise, your middle management boss has already been given a directive by upper management on what to tell you. And it's unfortunate because they're like in the middle, right? And they're getting squeezed because you're complaining that, you work hard, or not necessarily complaining, but you're highlighting how dedicated you are. You like how I flipped that? See, you're not complaining that you work. You're not complaining that you work hard. You're highlighting how dedicated you've been, right? But your middle management boss has already been told that they don't have the money in the budget to give you a raise or whatever. And so what I've seen happen, and what's happened to me too as I've climbed the corporate ladder, is they make it uncomfortable for you to ask. They make it inconvenient, right? So you say find a good time. They make sure that there's never a good time, right? So like any time is, you're disturbing them, right? Because they're either busy, they're preoccupied, something's going on, they're stressed somewhere, and so they make it seem as though you're bothering them. How do you get over that, Deirdre?
My recommendation is this is an important time, just like they would do a performance evaluation of you, and they have to set aside time to discuss how they feel your performance has been. This is the same way. I think you just set up time on that calendar. 30 minutes max is probably all you really need. It may be less than that, but I would put time on that calendar, and this is something that's important for you to discuss with them, and they've got to make time. I know a lot of companies have open door policies. That's why I wouldn't recommend just strolling in and saying, hey, this is what I wanted to talk about, because it might not be a good time. I think it's better to be, set aside a specific time and date that works for both of you, so that you're in a good mood and you've got all your kind of ducks in a row, and they're expecting a conversation.
Hey, Vincent. Are you there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Ask me for a raise, Vincent.
Okay. Mr. Dolphin, I'd like to have a conversation with you. It'll take maybe 20 minutes. Do you have time for that?
You know what, Vincent? I got a couple of minutes before I got my next call coming in. What's up?
Well, I wanted to talk to you about the association or of our relationship.
Is there a problem, Vincent?
No. I've been noticing that we've been getting a great deal of response, positive feedback from people on the show. The response on Facebook have been genuine. I think that we have great chemistry. We compliment each other on the show as well as our guests. I'm thinking that you are appreciating the contributions that I bring, and I would request a increase in salary.
Well, Vincent, I gotta say it's been a real pleasure having you, we have noticed. In fact, I was talking to John down the hall about the viewership, and it's gone up. It's been actually pretty terrific. So I want to thank you for your contribution in that effort. however, Vincent, right now, the company's going through a bunch of different things, and in as much as we would love to give you a raise, we're just not able to do it at this time.
Oh, is there a particular reason why you can't do it at this time?
Well, I mean, I can't go into specifics with you, but there are a lot of changes that are taking place with the company, cash flow issues. We've made some investments, some structural investments, and now it's just not a good time for us to lay out any additional monies.
What if I can help in assisting in bringing in additional sponsorship?
Oh, well, that's a conversation that we can have, Vincent. And we can maybe think about structuring that, not so much in a raise, but maybe you get a commission for that. Would that be something you'd be open to?
Of course.
All right. Well, listen, my call is coming in, so I'm going to take that. But let's circle back to this conversation, let's say Tuesday of next week, all right?
Great. I'll update my resume.
All right.
Okay, so you lost it right at the end, Vincent.
What'd you think, Deidre?
A couple things that I noticed that he did well was he did at the beginning kind of lay out a couple of the things that he's done to add value to the company, to try to increase viewership. I would have wanted some more quantifiable information related to that, though. So we know that viewership has grown, 20% or 30% over this past 6 months, and it's just directly related to these different things that I've done.
So bring out the stats.
Right, and so that would help kind of cement your case. Just to say it's grow, it could be grow by one person, right? So you want some more information that makes it feel like I got to hold on to this person. And then you talked about advertising too, and so what things you've done to help bring more people to the site, advertisers on the site, again, quantifiable things are always a good way to sort of kind of make a strong case that someone deserves more money. Just to say it grew, or I did bring, things are doing better, that's really, a little bit more on the general side. You want definitely a lot more specifics.
Okay. Excellent. And the negative, or the part that I need to work more on?
And so all those, that's what I just said.
Yeah, we got to remember he's on drugs right now. Well, let me not say he's on drugs. Let me rephrase that. He's on medication.
What I did like was so Eric kind of bringing back that, I'm sorry, you mentioned about advertisers and if you could bring that. And so his ears perked up immediately because that's dollars and cents. And that's dollars that are going to come into the show. And so if there's a way that you guys can meet in the middle, and if it's a commission, necessarily a salary increase, what I would do is I would be the one sort of as the employee, I would push the envelope to say, okay, well, I understand times are tough right now. And if we kind of look at a couple of metrics over the next and make it a smaller window, 3 months, 2 months, I'd like to come back and revisit kind of what I've done during this period of time, so that we can kind of don't have the door completely shut, and then you got to wait for your next performance review, which might be 7 months away, or or longer.
And now, because a couple things can happen, right? So, one of the things that I try to pivot to, and I appreciate your pivot, Vincent, in terms of saying, well, look, I can add more value, right? I'm doing these things. I brought additional revenue through viewership and such, but I can even add more value by doing this. And then what I attempted to do was attach the additional revenue or additional salary or payment directly to your effort.
Sorry, I'm going to hear it up, but they're making us wear
Mute it.
ridiculous outfits as if it's Halloween every day.
Mute it, mute it, Vincent.
I saw you earlier.
All right. So I tried to tie it directly to it, right? Because now, as a business, if he's producing and now he's incentivized, right? If I tie and say, look, you could have a commission. So if you want more money, you're willing to work harder, right, to bring more in, then it works for both. That's that symbiotic relationship I was talking about, right? So Vincent says, yeah, I'm going to hit 20 home runs and take us to the World Series. I'm like, okay, because that's going to increase our revenue. You're going to get paid more. Everybody's happy. And instead of me just giving you a raise while we're working on restructuring and doing all these other kinds of things. But the part that you brought up, Deidre, in terms of not letting it stretch out too long, is because the company is thinking strategically too, right? And so now, what do I know? I know Vincent wants a raise, right? Vincent came to me; he wants a raise. And if we look and we start to evaluate your performance, even with what it is that you're doing, and the amount of money that you may be seeking, if it doesn't fit within what we want to do, we may want to string this along so that we can restructure the business and maybe restructure you out of the business, right? And give us enough time, to bring somebody else in, bring them up to speed, deal with the learning curve issue. Because I've seen that happen too, right? To the point where you've got a company who does something like this. So Vincent, what I'd like to do, because you're doing such a great job, we're gonna give you a report, a direct report, right? So now I give you a direct report, and you feel kind of good about that, right? Because now you had a conversation with me. These are all strategies that, in fact, companies I've worked for employed or have me employed. So I give you a direct report. You feel like, okay, so we heard you. So something's going to happen. Right? We're going to circle back to that conversation about an increase or whatever. But for now, you got a direct report. You got the bells and whistles, but no increased salary. But you got somebody who's taking a little bit off your plate, right? That gives you better quality of life. So you may leave, maybe half an hour earlier than you were leaving before because you had to stay and get all this stuff done. But what's happening with that direct report is learning, right? We're evaluating that direct report, and that direct report may wind up replacing you. That's happened.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because a lot of times people are overworked, and that's the first way they'll say it is like, I need to make more money. Like, that's not necessarily make a difference. You might still be overworked and now make more money.
Right.
So if you can kind of figure out what that issue is, and if there's some things you can take off your plate, and they actually need to hire somebody to take some things off your plate, then that might be a better quality of life for you than just having more money in your pocket and stressed out and staying late and doing all those things.
And that part is true. I mean, some people believe that if I'm going to be stressed out and overworked, then I should be compensated for it. But I don't know. The quality of life issue is probably better for others than to deal with a couple extra coins to deal with that, the stress of a job that you don't like, you're overworked, and you need 2 scotches after work to calm down.
Yeah, so there are a lot of things, right? Sometimes people think they need more money, right? That money is going to solve the stress and the anxiety and everything that you have at work. And sometimes what you just need is the release valve to be opened up a little bit to release some pressure. And so the company, like I said, we give you a direct report, maybe give you another week of vacation time, right? Take a couple days off, right? Just to try to, and then maybe money wasn't the issue in the end, right? Because people just sometimes, it's like, man, I work so hard, they need to be paying me more money. And maybe that's not it. Maybe it's something else. Because money doesn't always make happiness.
And sometimes if you're, you have to, like we talked earlier, you have to understand if you're going in there, you have to be prepared to hear a no, like you mentioned to Vincent. And then where can you pivot to? Maybe you can ask for some more professional development. Maybe you can ask for vacation. Maybe you can ask for some sort of year-in bonus tied to performance of the company versus something that's completely right now. There's a couple different things you can do so you're not just completely walking away. Just think outside the box for it doesn't necessarily have to be in your paycheck right now. There's some other ways that they can compensate you.
That was the reason I asked, was there a particular reason why you couldn't afford me? And wanted to, increase my value by saying that, I'm a team player, let me pitch in to help.
Right. But again, you want to just specifically have examples. And I know we were doing it ad lib, but if you were doing that real time, you would talk about, if you were supporting a particular team member and what that looks like. If you guys work on a project together, what does that look like, and how you've helped, the company grow? What does that look like?
Okay. I like it.
No,
So,
yeah.
So Eric, you got some time next week? We could do lunch.
You know what, Vincent? Let me you know what? I'm gonna have Mary Ellen get back to you. She's gonna take a look at my schedule and find out what works, and she'll give you a ring and let you know.
Wonderful. I think I've got some great opportunities for you.
All right. Well, thanks, Vincent.
All right. Well, listen, I've got to go because the drugs are really kicking in now.
I hear you slurring.
I was leaving too, Eric. I mean, Vince, you can't leave him by himself.
No. You guys can leave me.
Keep in mind, I didn't get the raise, so hey.
Well, Vincent, feel better, please.
I will.
All right, brother. I'll check in on you later. And Deidre,
All right, love you all. God
I love
bless
you too, brother. And Deidre, thank you for calling in. I think that this was a great topic, and hopefully, people who may have some trepidation about how to ask for a promotion or how to ask for a raise, that they hopefully found something in here to be able to do that.
Yeah, and also solicit topics that people want to hear about too. They can put in the chat feature things they want to talk about. I got a couple ideas swirling, but let me know. Okay.
All right. Excellent. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right. Bye. All right, guys. So I'm gonna try to do this hour by myself. I'm exhausted. Oh, is this Diane? Diane's gonna save me.
Good morning.
Good morning, Diane. I was gonna listen. You see, I didn't step away from the plate, right? I choked up on the bat and I leaned in. I don't care if you try to beam me. I'm gonna swing for the fences. Diane, have you ever been so tired that you literally feel like you're drugged?
What have I ever been? What?
So tired that you feel drugged.
Yes.
That's how I feel right now. I just I am delusionally tired.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you know what that means, and I'm not going to keep saying it, but 1, you need help. 2, you doing too much. 3, you not getting enough sleep. And when you don't get enough sleep, that pulls on your heart. I'm telling you, I've learned the hard way.
Wait a minute, how does it say? On my heart?
Heart, on your heart. I don't know, is the country out of me? The heart.
Oh,
heart.
no. Well, so today I'm going to, when I finish the show, I'm going to, see, you know what this is all about? It's all about the fact that I didn't get my hammock.
Oh.
See?
You gonna make me drive over there and loan you mine while I'm on vacation.
See, had my kids brought me a hammock, right? I would be out there relaxing. I might even take the studio out there and be swinging in the hammock doing the show.
You should, by all means. Why not? You don't have to do anything traditionally set up the way other people do it. That's what makes it so organic when you do it differently.
Well, things are getting ready to get better in terms of my time.
Okay.
But these are the growing pains of starting a business, right? And Diane, listen, I got to tell you this. I know you, me, and Vincent talked about doing a show, talking about entrepreneurialism, talking about you and Vincent and me and the businesses that we're that we've built or building, and how to do that and all that kind of stuff. I've actually gotten phone calls from quite a few people based on them seeing what's going on, and they've asked me to do, I don't know if you call them lectures or whatever, with young people, and to talk about business and that kind of stuff. So, I told them I'd be excited to do it. I can't do it now because I just don't have the capacity to add something else to my plate. But but what I will tell you is this: when you start a business, if you are serious about starting a business, it is going to take everything from you.
Yeah.
A business
you
is like
you will eat and sleep it every
it's like
day
a
and
baby.
all night.
A business is like a baby, right? If you have children or have had children, right? Remember how tired you were when you had your children. They were babies. They cried at 2 in the morning. They cried at 1 in the morning. They cried at 5 in the morning, and they don't care if you slept or not. They are crying because they need to be fed, and that is a business. The business needs to be fed, and when it needs to be fed, you have to respond, or the business will die. That is a fact.
That's right.
That's a fact.
That's right.
And so, when I look at how exhausted I am, I laugh hysterically sometimes because I remember with all 4 of my children how it was, like falling asleep with the pacifier or the bottle, in the rocking chair with them. It was the same thing. I mean, I'm not falling asleep doing this, but almost.
No, I totally get it and totally understand, but it's so exhilarating to start a business, to see it flourish, even at points where you kind of peak and you don't see it really expanding, and then you're like, okay, so what do I do to regenerate the business, to make it, pop again? All of that, you eat and sleep it every day, all day. I have had times that I can't sleep at night, that I literally had to go sleep in the other room because I am up with ideas, running stuff through my head, writing stuff down, on the internet, research and stuff. And when you start, and when you become an entrepreneur, you're like a serial entrepreneur because you're constantly doing other stuff, and you're always trying to find fixes for other things.
Oh my God, Diane, are these your plants? Oh
yes, sir.
Sis, that's
what I was doing this morning, so I missed you at your early call because I was outside trying to get everything prepped before I get ready to go on vacation to make sure. So I've been creating these self-irrigation systems. OMG. I am so excited. Now, if I come back from vacation and all my stuff is dead,
oh my God!
I'll just have to start over again.
Oh, look at the little green tomatoes.
So I got tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, beefsteak tomatoes, squash, cucumbers.
Wow, Diane.
Parsley.
I'm so proud of you. Look at that. You got to post these so people can see them. They look amazing.
Right. I did a video the other day, Sunday. I did a video on how to create the irrigation system in the containers. So people know how to do it, because I watched so many videos and I was like, wait a minute, I can do this. And then I did the, if you see some of them, the little baby seedlings, those are like the
So let me ask you a question. And so guys, what I'm looking at is Diane has a potted garden, right? So, some people, you take an area of your land and you trench it and then you seed and all that kind of stuff. Diane's got them all, and so do I. Everything growing in its own container, right? So now I'm looking at some of these containers. Are those just regular water bottles?
Yep, regular water bottles. Those are, so this is the thing. So it's 2 different things. So the water bottles that you see with the string coming out of it, that's just any water bottle. That's a Poland Spring, because that's what we drink. The ones that are turned upside down with the spigot on them, those are Avion bottles, because of course the spigots only fit certain water bottles. Of course, I didn't know that until I bought it. But yeah, so that system is sort of like a faucet. So it's a little faucet on it, and you turn it on, and it drips. So it's a drip irrigation system.
Ah.
So you can turn it up or down depending on how fast you want the drip to be. So literally, like your sink drips, it's just like that. And all you do is turn it, and it'll drip fast or slow. And I have it to, I think I timed it to about one drip every 40 seconds.
Okay.
So hopefully that will take a week for it to come out of the 2 bottles. I think it's 2, what do we call it, 1 pint bottles,
right?
500 milliliters, something like that. Yeah. Trust me, it's
and
been
so
a long
now,
process to
and
figure
so
it out.
now you've got this gallon jug, and you have a hose coming out of that, going
That's a cotton string to come out. Because
when
the cotton string gets, so when the cotton string gets wet, it travels all the way from one end to the other end.
Right.
So one end is stuck in the dirt to keep the dirt water, and the other end is stuck in the jug. And that one is because those seedlings have not sprouted yet.
Now, what do you have growing in those bags?
Potatoes.
Right.
So when the potatoes, you'll see the tops, as they continue to grow and grow and grow, the tops will die off. And once the tops die off, then that's when the potatoes underneath are done, and you could just dump the bag out. But those particular bags I bought specifically for potatoes, so you can open up the flap and actually see the potatoes growing on the inside if you wanted to.
You know, I bought those bags too. They're still sitting in my basement. I never planted my potatoes.
Well, it's real super simple. All you got to do, 3 inches of dirt, throw the potato in there.
Yeah.
Put in 2 inches, water it, and walk away.
I know.
Literally,
I just didn't do it, Diane. I didn't do it.
That's it.
So
I understand.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, I had all good intentions until this business started
booming.
Yeah, started booming, and then like I said, I mean that my tomatoes and my zucchini. No, yeah, my tomatoes, zucchini, my basil, and my oregano. They should be happy that I'm going out there and watering and talking to them. Right.
That's about all you can get for right now.
That's all.
Totally. I understand. Trust
that's all I got. That's all I got. But yeah, man. Listen, we're going into a depression, Diane.
We're in a depression.
And people
better
figure that out, right? We're like I'm telling you, coronavirus is far from over, and states are starting to close down again. There's going to be rebellion because people want to be open, irrespective of the damage it's going to do in terms of killing people. And so they got to figure it out. And what's interesting is all of this is coming together. It's coming together at a very interesting time, right? We truly had a diverse group of candidates on a stage debating issues seeking the presidency of the United States. We had Marianne Williamson, who I thought was extraordinarily incredible. We had Andrew Yang, who I thought was extraordinarily brilliant. I think that Bernie Sanders has just been a fixture. What was the other guy's name? The billionaire? I thought that he. Tom Steiner.
Right.
I think that he was brilliant, right? But the establishment choked them all out.
Now let's talk about that. So you talk about the establishment and their money and exposure, but you had 3 people who were able to raise enough money to get on the stage. Now, what is it about what's happening now that those 3 people have not gotten together to say, let's form an alliance to do something? Because you have to look at it, and I think about it the same way on the local level. You have really extraordinary candidates. They get overwhelmed and knocked out because of the system, the political system, but then they die off and they go away. What?
Yeah, I never understood that, Diane. I never understood why you wouldn't have Marianne Williamson, Tom, I think that's his name, right? and Andrew Yang just going at it hard every day, just going at it hard, still talking about the issues. They got enough money, right, to be able to do it. Or that they wouldn't use their social media platforms, and they would get millions and millions of views to just continue to press the issue. I don't know why they've caved on some of these things, but this is where you need a full court press, right? The thing is that, look, I'm telling you, it's shaking right now, right? And it can all be torn down. Now, some of them are expressing such concern about Donald Trump being reelected that they're concerned about tearing it down, right? But there will not be a better time, because if you don't tear it down now, trust me, the system will regenerate, right? It will
bigger and better and powerful.
That's absolutely right. It will. The mousetrap will be reconfigured, and we'll be all the way at the starting line again. Right now, I think that we probably could be almost 2/3 the way of tearing this thing down. We have to have the courage to continue to do it and to continue to push.
And we may even be further than that, because now Republicans are starting to ask questions about what are the conversations that he's having with Russia now. Because now there are newer conversations that are happening, and they're becoming more concerned because they see, and they've said it themselves, we are in a depression. And if people can't come back, and the only way that they think that they can keep bringing people back and reviving them is giving them stimulus money, that's going to go away very quickly soon as well.
No, you know what, Diane? But I don't think it's going to. Listen, this is what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to go into a depression. And then the only way for, these billionaires not to slit their wrists and jump off of the tallest building they could find would be to do what Andrew Yang was talking about, right? Or what Dr. Martin Luther King talked about, that you have to provide a guaranteed income to every American, right? So that they can now push that money back into the economy. That's what's going to have to happen.
So now if we're talking about a guaranteed income, because basically that is welfare, what is the amount that you would think would be necessary to pump back into the system? Because remember, when they gave that stimulus check, what they thought was people want to immediately pump it in, but what people started to do is they started to save the money.
Right, but the reason they started saving it, Diane, is because they knew the stimulus was going to end. You see, so if you know that you're getting this extra money, but it may only last 2-3 months, right? You're not going to spend it. You're going to squirrel it away. If you're getting a universal basic income of, say, $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 a month, and you're getting that every month, that is just going to be it from now on. And if you're a family, and so you and your wife are now getting it, and you got children in the house, so for the children you get a little extra. Now you can start planning. See, with this stimulus money, you can't plan for that, right? You can't plan with it because you're only gonna get it, for 2 months, 3 months, or whatever. But they told you it was gonna end, so it's a one-shot thing. So some people said, "Oh, I gotta come up, and I'm gonna use this money, and I'm gonna go buy something with it, or I'm gonna squirrel it away." But now they can look and say, "You know what? Now we're gonna be getting this extra. We're gonna be getting this $2,000 times X number of people in the house. Okay, so now I can look at my bills, I can look at the things that I have to take care of, and I can spend this money accordingly. And I don't have to worry about it running out, because it's going to always be there." See, and now that is going to drive the economy. But that's what's going to happen. Otherwise, I tell you, you will have people jumping off of buildings, slitting their wrists on the way down.
Absolutely. So there has to be something, and I do believe, even if we didn't do, because I don't believe in just writing checks to people, just to put it back, just for the purpose of putting it back into the economy. I would say if you want to really help people and pull people out and let them use the money that they currently have, you have to, one, bring jobs back to the United States. You have to make it so that the export and import is so bad and so expensive that companies will look at working and sending employees and getting employees from outside of the country unnecessary. Cost efficient, it won't be cost efficient for them anymore. I think that there has to be something in the banking system that has to be put in place. One, the elimination of this current credit system in which we have established, because it is currently not the way it should be. Hold on one second. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm reading what some of the people are saying. Look, I think that the way that America is set up and the way that people think in America, the me mentality as opposed to a communal way of thinking is what leads a person to say, well, you know, I'm going to be set. I'm going to, if I get this income, I'm going to do this with it. I'm going to, and not look at being a part of something bigger. And so I think that there's going to have to be some reteaching, some, some educating on, on how to live more united and less divided in the country for us to be able to make it work, right? But I think that's going to happen. And look, I think that the majority of people want to work, right? You have some people who don't, right? But the majority of people,
yes,
they do.
Yes.
They find fulfillment in working, right? They don't find fulfillment in just sitting around. And again, I'm not saying all people. Certainly, you have some people who are, they're always looking for to get over. They're always looking for, the easy way out. But I would say that the majority of people find fulfillment in working, right? And I think that will drive it. And yes, you'll have the stragglers. But if you look and say, and if you believe this concept that we're only as strong as our weakest link, right? Then you have to make sure that weak link is at a basic level that doesn't bring us all down, right? And so the universal basic income says, hey, look, our weakest link will be at $2,000 a month, right? That's our weakest link. And so now we say, well, now how strong are we as a nation? You see, but if our weakest link is homeless, right? If our weakest link is destitute, if that's where the weakest link is, then we're in trouble. And that's why we are where we are now. So we have to firm up that weak link.
Well, that makes sense. However, to firm up the weak link means that somebody else has to give up some of their power or some of their control.
Well, they do, but
because that means that you're starting to level the playing ground.
Right, but Munira is saying,
right,
and I agree with her, she says, we have too much individualism. That's right. See, so yes, you have to give something up. We have to understand that there's a balance, that there's a delicate balance here. And the balance and things are off kilter, right, because of the individualism, right? Like Keyshawn Johnson from the Jets, right? Throw me the damn ball. So everybody wants the ball, and so we can't win championships. We have to get on the same page as a group, right? And we have to say, well, what will work for us? Look, the fact that our weak links are where they are is a national security issue. You understand what I'm saying, Diane? This is truly a national security issue.
Well, in comparison to us and to China, that absolutely makes sense. If you look how they are conditioned as people in their country, their education system, their working system, how they're conditioned to work as a group as opposed to an individual. Everything is about working for a better government. It's not about working individually. It's about working for a better government. But you would have to take the entire time that we created the United States, double that to recondition people into that frame of thinking, because the ones that have been here initially don't have that frame of thinking. Now, you have cultures that have come into the United States that work as such, in a way that they work as a community. You see it in clusters in different towns. They all work together. They all refer each other. They all do business with each other because they understand that community type group has to work together in order for them to flourish. But to bring all of us together in the United States to do that, that's a whole lot of reconditioning that you would have to do.
Well, no, look, this first generation that would receive the universal basic income, yep, all of the comments that are in the feed about what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, right? Because they've been conditioned a different way, right? So this notion of universal basic income, they say, oh, I'm just going to get it, I'm going to kick back, and I'm just going to live off the dole. I think that the next generation that gets it would think differently, right? That they would take risks because they would know that there's only so far you can fall. Right, so you're going to be more inclined to take a risk. You're going to be more inclined to pursue that entrepreneurial dream, because if it doesn't pan out, you know that at the very least you're going to have $2,000 a month, right? But if you knew that if you took the risk that you could be broke and have nothing, then you're not going to take the risk. See, and I think that do you understand what I'm saying to you? And so there is a mentality right now of in terms of some people who say, you know what, I would love to do that, but I don't have the security to do it, so I'm not gonna do it. And so how many inventions, how much innovation is being lost because people are fearful? See, that's the other side of this coin. So certainly you have the side, the cynics and such. You have the other people who are just looking for a come up and want to be lazy. But then you have those people who say, you know what, if I had this money, I would be able to go and do this thing. Right? If I had this extra bit of money, I would go, I'd be able to get this thing done, because I know if it fails, because look, what do we say about businesses? You start a business, they say 50% of all businesses fail 80% of all new businesses fail in the first 5 years, and then 50% of the businesses fail in the next couple of years after that. So those are the statistics. So if you're looking at that and you're already cash strapped, right? What did they say? Almost half of Americans couldn't afford a $400 or $500 cash emergency. So if you're already in that situation, where's innovation happening? Where's entrepreneurship happening? Where's risk-taking happening? So if you now open that up and free those people from the bondage of the fear of being homeless, right? Then I think that it would spur all kinds of creativity and job creation.
I think what you're saying is financial security spurs creativity. Is that what you're saying?
Did I say what now?
So financial security will spur creativity.
Yes, absolutely. And the universal basic income provides that security. It says you will not fall below here. Right? Okay. And I think that once people, and I'm not saying all people, yeah, you're going to, like I said, you're going to have the cynics. But most people want to work. Most people want to be unbridled and they want to just go for it, right? But they are insecure financially. So you secure them financially, all those ideas now start to flow. Jobs start to be created, right? Entrepreneurs start to flourish. That's what I believe is going to happen.
Well, this idea is not new. They've tried this system in other countries, and they have not been. I want to say Finland, that they tried this universal system, economic system, and it did not work. What they found was that giving people money did not influence them to be more of entrepreneurs or influence them to do better in their living situations. Basically, their education of finances were just carried over, having more money to be able to splurge or do what they were doing before. So, for instance, if I give you $5,000, and because you and I and Kevin talked about this before, if I give you $5,000, what would you do with it? And we talked about, oh, we would save it, oh, we would spend it to do this, oh, we would put down on, to do whatever. And some people said, oh, the same people that's out there, doing drugs, they just have $5,000 extra dollars to do some more drugs with. So if you don't have the financial understanding of money, the only thing that you're going to do is carry over your same habits when you have more money. So, for instance, when people win the lottery and they talk about how many lottery winners have gone from winning millions of dollars on to becoming poor again, it happens because they don't understand how to manage money. So you could give them $1 or $1 million, they're still going to manage their money the same way. So giving people more money is not going to mean that they're going to drive it into the economy. It does not mean they're going to use it wisely to help better themselves. So there has to be a twofold with that when you just give people money. And I think that's what we talked about before. Just giving them money may be one part of it, but maybe if, like I said, going back to removing these credit scores that are used only to block you, not to give you access to purchasing property or getting mortgages or doing anything that you need or buying a vehicle. That stuff is put in place as blockers. The whole system of the credit system is a mess. I read an article the other day in the Wall Street Journal, and they were talking about how the credit scoring system is so upside down that in this economy now, that banks don't even know who is credit worthy anymore. Because the people you assume are credit worthy are the ones who have filed bankruptcy or have lost their jobs. So they've had these big incomes and salaries, but now they're filing and using the system to get out from under their debt. So the credit system really isn't working. And it's never really worked for us as black people anyway.
Yeah, I'm trying to do some speed reading on an article coming out of Wharton, somebody from Wharton School of Business at UPenn, to see. I'm gonna send this to you, and then what I want to do, Diane, is I want to do a little bit more research on it, right? And then have some real conversations about the impact that UBI has had,
Right.
In many places, right? Because they're talking about how this particular article is based out of Stockton, California, right? Where they were giving participants, I think 125 participants were given $500 a month. And and it goes in and they study it, and they study the impact on the economy and so forth. So I want to do a deeper dive into this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because even in the city of Newark, Raz talked about it at one time that he was going to be giving out doing this universal income plan, but we already knew that was just a family and friends plan. That didn't really have any, what would you say, any meat to it at all. But yeah, I think, like I said, there are other countries that have done it, and it has not yet been proven to be the most beneficial way to bring the economy back for people. I don't know. I think if people were able to have access, if people had equal access to anything, services, property, loans, credit, then I think that would change a person's economic structure.
But even think about that. If you are so financially insecure that you can't afford a $400 cash emergency, right? You literally, your financial issues are just the tip of your nose away from, I mean, that's how close everything is. So you can't even think about other opportunities. You give somebody
Okay,
a little
so right, so but you're also thinking about $400 of not having $400 available cash strapped. Some of those people are homeowners. So what I'm saying is, you're sitting on an asset which you can pull cash out of, but because the credit system doesn't allow you to do it, you don't have access to your own money that can make money available that could turn your situation around.
Right. So think about that. Think about a person who's, I mean, whenever I drive through the Southward Clinton Hill section or the Week Lake section, those glorious homes, right? Madison Avenue, Avon Avenue, South 10th Street. I mean, massive homes. When I was a kid, I had friends who lived in those homes. I mean, beautiful, beautiful homes. Well, a lot of those homes are in disrepair because people don't have the money to maintain them, right? And so they're falling apart. So imagine those people getting universal basic income, and so now they have an extra extra $2,000 a month. So now, you know what? They don't have to go between, can I fix the gutter that's rotting, right, and creating a leak that's going to get worse, and then in 5 years the whole house is falling apart, or whether I put food on the table. You could do both now, and so now that home begins to retain its value, and all of those other people in those homes retain their value or increase in value because you can put money into it. Do you understand? So again, I understand.
Right, but if you give them $400 and you still allow PSC&G and the energy companies and wherever you may live, Duke Energy, wherever, continue to drive the prices up, then they're going to eat into that additional money that you get, and you're going to be.
So you have to have So there has to be some policymakers who are working on some other stuff too, right? So I'm not saying that the UBI is the end all. I am, however, saying that you have to unbridle people. You have to unbridle them. You have to take the chains off of people so that they can be creative thinkers. But you cannot be a creative thinker if you are so burdened with where you're going to get $25 to pay a damn cell phone bill. Right? How are you gonna be a creative thinker? Now, I'm telling you, you got a lot of people who have great ideas, and I believe that if you unbridled them, that those ideas would flourish. And yes, you would always have every train has a caboose, right? So, you're going to always have the people who would the drag on things, right? Saying, you know what? Yeah, I'm just going to kick back and I ain't going to do nothing. Well, you know what? You're not going to be able to move everybody to it. But I think that you can spur enough creativity, enough ingenuity, enough entrepreneurialism to lift the economy, and then, like I said, our weakest link will be more secure than they are now.
So now the next thing is, why go for universal income instead of just targeting corporations and companies that don't pay taxes and property taxes into the system, or get tax abate, or what they would call tax abatements or reduced taxes? Why not target them and make the tax base equal? Why not do that first?
Well, because in doing this, so the question I have for you is this: if the goal is to eliminate the financial insecurity, that is the goal. Right? Because once you eliminate the financial insecurity, I believe you will spur ingenuity and creativity. So how would your plan alleviate the pressure that most Americans have in terms of being financially insecure?
If the tax system, property tax system across the board was equal, percentage-wise for corporations as it is for property owners would not have the same stress of paying their
Right.
property taxes
But in Newark,
and paying their
you
mortgages.
got 78% of
Because
the
then that would put more money back in their pocket
right.
as well.
But 78% of Newarkers are renters.
Right.
So you're talking about property
But
owners, right?
of
But
the-
in
of
a
those
city like Newark, I'm going
78% that are
78.
renters,
Huh?
those property owners who could then receive a relief could then give the relief back to the renters.
Well, see, there you go. But we know how business works, right? Just like big business. They said, oh, if we give them a relief, it'll trickle down, right? If we give them money, during the Obama stimulus, the idea was we're going to pump this money into big corporations and they're going to wind up paying their employees more money. What they did was they did stock buybacks, right? They, you understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
they're not, that's
Right.
not their in their interest. So I'm saying that if I were a homeowner, and well I am, but but if I was a homeowner and I was getting money back, I don't know that I would look and provide relief for my tenant. I just got money back. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take my money and I'm gonna go buy another home. Right? You understand what I'm
But
saying?
I may not raise the rent on that tenant though.
Why not? Why not?
Well, because that wouldn't be
I ain't
the
sharing the
good
love.
thing to do.
So you just want me to share the? You say that's not the Christian thing to do?
Yeah, like come on now.
Diane, wait. No.
Cause so yeah.
No, I'm raising the rent.
So,
Diane.
for instance, the property taxes, the largest percent of our property taxes now goes towards school, the school system. My question is, and I asked this to Governor Murphy, and I probably will never get a response. And I don't think I asked it to our current mayor. I did ask it to the current mayor. Because the children are not in the school buildings, are we going to get a relief on our property taxes? Because the majority of the money is paying for overhead of the buildings.
No.
Like, how are we going to get some of that money back and we still keep filling money into a bucket, but the bucket is not being used appropriately? You know what I'm saying?
You're not getting the money back.
Ever.
Ever.
Never ever.
Not with
ever,
an R. Ever. Not ever. I don't even. That's not correct English. It's not correct grammar. Nothing. Ever. Not getting it back. Ever getting it back. But I am saying, and I'm being very, very serious about this. Look. I'm not gonna take. Look. All right. With this family business, right? We're taking risks financially because collectively my family has the wherewithal to do it. Right? I don't think that I am the only one with a great idea. I think that there are a bunch of people who are brighter than I am, brighter than I will ever be. But they don't have the capital to be able to launch the idea that they may have. Their insecurity is paralyzing them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like literally. And I could almost hear them saying, man, if I had $2,000, you know what I would do? And that idea is probably a great idea. And $2,000 could translate into that idea being a small business that employs 20 people. Right? Now, again, yeah, you'll have the person who will say, yeah, I'm going to get my money and I'm just going to sit there on the couch and I'm not going to do anything. You'll have that person. I'm not talking about that person. I believe that there are enough other people who would do something different with their lives. Right? And beyond that, when we talk about socially transmitted diseases, right? We have so yes, you'll have some people and the socially transmitted disease, right, will teach their children and their children's children to just pocket the money and sit back and do nothing, right? But you'll see where you fall on the in terms of status in our society, right? Because you'll get the universal basic income, and you'll just be basic, right? But a lot of people don't want to be basic, right? So a lot of people want to be beyond basic, and so for those people, you say, hey, listen, I got this. I can take a chance. We collectively have this as a family. We can take a bigger chance. And we can maybe stretch out and try to build something. And guess what? If it doesn't work, right, yeah, we fall, but we don't fall into a ditch, right? We fall back down to here, but here is where the universal basic income says, hey, you know what? You gave it a shot. Now get back on your feet and maybe try giving it a shot again. And I think that security will spur, great things. I really, really do.
So, there's an article that ABC News did, and they talked about how COVID-19 exacerbated the American wealth gap. And, or rather what they say is the income equality between racial wealth gap in the United States, making the richest wealthier while leaving many of the poorest without jobs. Until they said that, let me just quickly go through this. They said it's unprecedented financial crisis and unemployment rates at their highest levels since the Great Depression, especially among Black and Hispanic American and Asian workers. Compared to May being 16.8% to now of 12.4% for whites. At least 45 million people have filed for unemployment since the pandemic began. So, like you said, there is
Diane,
something to...
Diane, so I'm telling you, look,
And what they said is the Center of Disease Control Prevention states that communities of color are also overrepresented among essential workers who are generally unable to work from home and more likely to come in contact with the virus because they have to go back to work.
Do you understand the cascading effect of this? So people are out of work. That means that they don't have whatever health insurance they had, they don't have now. People who didn't have health insurance but had a little bit of money to be able to go to the doctor and get something done, not a lot, but something, they can't get anything done now. This thing is just going to spiral. It's going to spiral. Right?
What they said is
go ahead.
People's income determines their everyday lives.
Yes.
Which includes their ability to access health services.
Yes.
That's always true, but COVID-19 broke down it into a stark relief.
What quality food? So now we already talked about how black folk were more victimized by coronavirus than anybody else because of these underlying conditions. Well, so now what do you think is going to happen? They're going to be exacerbated because of a greater financial insecurity. And so I'm telling you. So now you say, you know what? Yep, we're at the very bottom of all of these categories. Yep, we were part of what they were calling essential services and what did I say to you? I said next to government, the hospitality industry is the largest employer here in America, right? And guess who works there the most? Blacks and Hispanics, right? So now, out of jobs. They just closed down in, was it California or Texas? They're closing the bars again.
Yep.
Right? So now what's going to happen?
Yeah, and also Murphy talked about yesterday that he just announced that he was going to suspend indoor dining. He said because people were not adhering to the 6 feet social distancing.
Diane, I told you what was happening right on Bloomfield Avenue.
People were there with no mask on. He said they were just shoulder to shoulder. He said they just are not getting it. But they're also saying in this article why the ultra rich are getting richer and the poor are getting hurt. They're stating that some stocks, tech stocks in particular, have done extremely well during the pandemic, which, of course, lots of shares going towards Facebook and Amazon and others are owned by billionaires. So, of course, their wealth has gone up because
Commodity.
their stock has
We are
gone
the
up in
commodity
value.
to their wealth and power. Right. That's actually right. We are the commodity to their wealth and power. And so, yes, Amazon, they see us as a commodity to their wealth. We, Zuckerberg sees us as a commodity to his wealth. And
that's what they said. Of course, the wealth has gone up because their stock has gone up in value. The bottom half of the American public doesn't own stocks, so they haven't shared in those gains. The bottom 40% of earners have been hurt most by unemployment during the pandemic. They also said that, so you have a situation where they've lost wages. The Congress has temporarily provided some extra unemployment benefits to some of those folks and then sent a $1,200 check. But for those people, the people at the bottom, half of the income distribution have been living a precarious life before the pandemic.
Yes.
So they were already struggling.
Yes. Yes. This is what I'm saying. So this notion, I had a conversation with a friend earlier today, and he was trying to convince me. He was saying, we have to get back to trusting the government. And I said, what? He said, yeah, there was a time when, Americans trusted the government. I said, I said, but it was a false trust, right? Because nothing was changing. Nothing was improving for the 99%. I talked to you about 1952 and what Dr. King talked about, right? 40 million poor people in the richest nation in the world. And what did he say? He said there's something fundamentally wrong with this theory of capitalism. And he declared back in 1952 that he was a democratic socialist. He said this has to change. And he was murdered for that, right? I said, so our trust in the government to do what? To do what?
Yeah, I mean, if people look at what the government has done, I mean, you can, natural disasters by itself, Hurricane Katrina, you talk about how they left people to die in their homes, how Bush just flew over in his helicopter days later just to admire.
Their job is to manage, listen, their job is to manage poverty. We continue to talk about that. And now they're trying to get in front of a movement, right? So you've got an uprising, and we said it, Diane. Listen, I tell you, the song for this show is so goddamn profound. You all should be sharing that the intro to this show. Share it far and wide. It is profound. We have been talking about this uprising in the servants' quarters. We said it was coming. We said it was coming. We said it was coming on this show. And it's here. And you know what? Now, what they're trying to do, because they believe, because of the Willie Lynch letter, right? And the making of a slave, they believe they still have the formula. So what they want to do is roll out some more shiny balls, right? Distract us, play some nice music, pat us on the head, give us a few compliments, and we'll be all right. Look, and I know you sent me the article, even the painting of Black Lives Matter on the goddamn streets, the hell with it. You know why I say that? We're selling drugs on every goddamn block that says Dr. Martin Luther King. We're selling drugs and prostituting on every block that says Malcolm X Boulevard. That's absolutely right. We disgrace those names every goddamn day. And now all of a sudden, because somebody let us paint Black Lives Matter on a goddamn street, we think that life is better for us. Diane, like my coach used to say, you're about to make me lose my religion.
About to make me lose my mind.
I'm gonna start cussing. I'm gonna start cussing up in here. Are you serious? Are you serious, people? They're just giving you more shiny bugs. Yeah, go ahead and paint that. Tell me what has changed. Tell me what policies are changing. Tangible. I don't want no goddamn. I don't care. Like Farrakhan said when he called it, leave those other murals up there. Leave them. Put ours next to them. See, they'll never put ours next to them. So they give you, so they say, oh, take that one down. But taking it down doesn't change policy.
No.
It's not going to change your position here in this country that hates and despises you.
That's right.
Come on now. Diane, see, you got me worked up.
You got to have an honest conversation about what is really out there, and to follow behind the monarchy of Black Lives Matter. It matters to who? Because it doesn't matter to us, because we still killing each other in the streets. They had
it is window dressing, Mark.
They had 61 murders over the weekend.
Yes, Diane. When are our people gonna wake up? So the goddamn kente cloth scarves and the kneeling and the this and the that, all platitudes, all BS. Mark Duncan says window dressing. Yes.
It
yes.
was disgusting. I read.
It's all disgusting. And now the conversation. Well, all Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. All Black Lives Matter. Come on. Come on.
Because let's go back to what Farrakhan said. We have to pull away from all of this, because now it's all Black Lives Matter, because they ain't talking about what they were talking about before. You know why? Because they don't have an agenda. They had no focus. They have no requests. They have no demands. So all they're doing is being pacified by one group to the next group to the next group. By the time this is over, because you've already heard it, Native Americans want to be included with the Black Lives Matter. The next thing you know, the Hispanics are going to want to be included with the Black Lives Matter.
Robert Taylor called in on this show 2 weeks ago or so, and he said, he talked about things that we talked about, right? He talked about the racial wealth gap. He talked about 2053 black people being done because there'll be zero. Do you see me saying it? Zero wealth in the black community. Now you tell me what that goddamn mural on the street is going to do to change that.
That's right.
Tell me what taking down Robert E. Lee's statue is going to do to change that. Nothing. You know what? If my mother's watching this show, she's going to yell at me later.
Yeah, stop stressing yourself out.
Look, guys, I'm telling you, I could be doing some other stuff all day. All day. I come in, I spend 2 hours to try to shake you. To shake you. And when Robert Taylor called, the thing he said that shook me, he said, Eric, listen to that show, guys. I'm going to replay that show. He said, this country has a history. Look at what they did to the Native American. The black American is next. He said within the next 30 years, we'll be in an apartheid state.
Right.
Come on. But we're happy because we get to paint Black Lives Matter. You know what they're going to do? As soon as that, they're going to roll over Black Lives Matter with one of those tar trucks and then cover it black again.
Sure enough.
Or when the paint fades. Or when the paint fades.
Yeah.
So damn emotional. Black Americans are so damn emotional.
So to calm you down for the next 10 minutes before we leave, to remind people to get the book.
Sister, I tell you I love you. I'm gonna miss you when you go on vacation. Yeah, I may hitch my trailer to the back of y'all.
I'll still be calling in. I'll be good.
Me and the dog. You taking the dog? Or do you?
Absolutely. We have to. Who are we gonna leave that horse with?
You know, you never put him in a kennel?
No. I mean, he goes to places to go get his bath and stuff like that. Like, he's at the pet place now to get a bath and all of that, and his nails cut. But no, we've never left him behind. I wouldn't trust to leave him behind because he's just so big and aggressive but friendly. I wouldn't do it because I don't know how he would really interact with other dogs too much. But the other fact is,
He'll look at those other dogs and say, "Ooh, she brought me a snack."
exactly, lunch. And my son can't watch him the entire time because he has allergies, so he's allergic to the dog.
Oh, wow.
Even though my husband's allergic to the dog too, but he pops all these pills, so he won't be allergic.
Oh, that's funny.
Go figure.
Hey,
and
he's
my
a
daughter's
committed
like,
animal lover.
yeah, my daughter has to warm up to him every time she comes to the house because he's so aggressive. He wants to play and jump up and all, and she's like, "This is just too much." So no, we take him with us. So we always, we're gonna drive down, stay with his brother overnight at his house with the dogs, and then we're gonna go rent a house. We always rent a house because it's easier,
Mm-hmm.
not bothered with other people, and the dog can move around free in the yard and stuff like that. But yeah, so don't forget the book. Next Thursday we're gonna be discussing it. It's called When I don't know what the hell was the name of the book. When Segregation Was White. No, that's not it.
No, when affirmative action was
Affirmative
white.
action.
Well, segregation was white. When slavery was white. When it was all white, Diane.
Oh God! When
Diane,
Affirmative Action Was White by Ira Katz Nelson, Katz Nelson. We're gonna read that on Thursday. Review it together, so don't forget that. And then I was gonna bring you. Then I wanted to talk to you about Mark Cuban. Had an article in CNBC where he talks about the interview question employers will ask job hunters after the pandemic. And he was giving advice to millions of Americans, telling them while they're out of work to continue to collect unemployment, don't stop applying for jobs, and make use of whatever downtime you have to brush up on your skills. And we've talked about that before. He also talked about he doesn't care if you're a welder or a computer programmer or whatever. Learn what you can about artificial intelligence in your particular industry, because whatever is going to happen as we move forward, you're going to have some specialty in that to make sure that you don't phase yourself out or be phased out of these jobs. Because not only are you competing as Black people, we're competing to get our jobs back. We're competing with other people who don't look like us, because there's still discrimination that still have a leg up above us as well.
Diane, listen, I got to tell you, we are in trouble. Black people are in trouble. In trouble. I'm not Noah, but I'm telling you, a flood is coming. Yeah, I'm telling you, a flood is coming. A tsunami is coming. It's coming.
It's coming. South Dakota may get it soon. And South Dakota Governor Noen says that we will not social distance at July 3rd celebration with Trump at Mount Rushmore. I can't with these people. They are so, what would you call them? They vigilantes. They just don't want to do anything. If you say yes, they say no. If you say up, they say down. I don't get it. Why are they trying to prove everybody else wrong?
It's all politics. I mean, it is a power grab. And we are the casualties of that war. Right? So you've got the President of the United States. Look, I don't talk about Donald Trump because Donald Trump makes it easy. Like Dr. Eddie Glaude said, it makes it easy if we just talk about him, right? We could talk about him all day, every day. But then what it does is it somehow absolves all of us of our personal responsibility, and it absolves us if we talk about Donald Trump all day, and puts us in some false sense of comfort around these scoundrels we call Democrats, right? That we're too afraid to talk about, how they've run roughshod over us. Look, we're Yeah,
We're in a hot mess.
we're done. No, we're not even. We are done. We are done. It is
So
going
you
to
talk
take.
about essential workers losing their jobs. I was talking to my friend the other day. She's a professional opera singer. And I was asking her what has she been doing, what's going on. Has she been doing like online shows or anything like that? And she said specifically her union and guild has told them as singers that they will be the last to come back because they spit on a regular when they sing. So a lot of them in the profession of singers have gone out to find other different types of jobs. I was just reading an article earlier and I heard it on the news. Circus Soleil has filed bankruptcy. So all of these people in the entertainment business, and you're talking about not just the performers, but all of the key grips, the photographers, all of these people behind the scenes that make the shows go, that put the concerts together, all unemployed. All of them.
Listen.
So there has to be some way, and I don't know how they're going to do it to bring the entertainment back, if they bring it on smaller forums. I don't know how it's going to be done, because there is no way, and I have never been to a concert where you could socially distance yourself. You could barely socially distance yourself from the person with their knee in your back of your chair. So let alone, in a coliseum, in a football stadium, it's going to be very difficult to bring these people back to work, if at all possible.
Listen,
However,
people are not respecting. See, and a lot of this has to do with all of the conspiracy theories. But you know what though? See, the government is to blame because the government is a liar. And when I say the government, I'm talking about all of those people who work in government, or those people who are elected officials, right? Democrats, Republicans, independents, all of them. They're all liars, right? And so because they've lied so much, we say lie once, lie always, right? I forgot the Latin for it. But that's what it is. And so we are now in a position where we can't trust you. We can't trust you. And so it gives rise to all of the conspiracy theorists who would say, we don't take a vaccine. The virus is whatever, the influenza killed more than all of that craziness, right? And in the middle of all of that craziness, this novel coronavirus is doing what it does, right? Its job is to survive, to find hosts and survive, right? And so we're at war, right? We're at war with ourselves because we don't want to believe it, some of us, right? So you go on different people's social media pages and you hear them arguing back and forth. But that novel coronavirus is single focused on what it's doing. And now, according to the doctors, it is now impacting younger people. So where we were at first looking, but this is what it does, right? This is what diseases and viruses do, right? And then they'll mutate and they'll do and in the middle of this, right, we're just dancing and laughing and singing and partying. I told you, when I was coming home one day driving down Bloomfield Avenue, all those people outside that restaurant, no mask, no nothing on. I rolled my window up. We were going 40 miles an hour. I rolled my window up. I said, you ain't gonna get nothing on me. The hell with you. Listen,
12 o'clock.
I want them, you know what I want them to do, Diane? I want all the conspiracy theorists. I want all the no mask wearing people. I want them all to get in one room together and cough and sneeze on each other. Right?
Is that what WWJD? What would Jesus do?
White Jesus? Or black Jesus?
Whatever.
All right, listen. We're at 12 o'clock. Diane, hey, listen, I am so impressed with your garden. And guys, listen, I love my black. We argue. Some of the people who are on this thread, we've argued since I got my social media page in 2012, I think, when I started, right? When I was Newark Citizen and people were trying to figure out who Newark Citizen was, right? Did I ever tell you that story? You got a second before we go?
Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right. So I didn't start the social media page to hide from people. I started it because in 2012, Cory Booker, who was then mayor of Newark, was trying to take over the water, right? And he had, at that point, Donald Payne Jr. had left the council and had gone to fill his father's seat in Congress, right? And so there was a vacancy. And Cory tried to install Shanique Spates as councilwoman. And so there's this big ruckus about it, right? Because he needed that vote to privatize the water. And so I was working with my dad up in Irvington at 660, and a bunch of the council people and stuff, they came running up to 660. Oh, Carl, what are you going to do? And like, I wasn't really involved in politics. I was there doing the business of 660. I had left corporate America to come and try to help my family's business. And so I'm sitting there watching them, Diane, and I said, you guys are all councilmen, and right? Don't you have a constituency? Why are you coming here asking what to do? Go out into the community that elected you and tell them what's going on. And that's when the light clicked for me, that none of them communicated with their constituents. Right? Right? So I went into the back room. This is a true story. I went into the back room at 660 and I created a Facebook page called Newark Citizen with the idea of having it be a community bulletin that could be a clarion call whenever something was going wrong in Newark. So whenever there was an issue and you needed to know about it, I wanted this page to be the page that people could go to provoke accountability, right? So I created it, and it was Newark Citizen. So again, I wasn't hiding. I just said I thought Newark Citizen was a great name. Well, when Shavar Jeffries ran for mayor in 2014, so say a year and a half late, 2014, he ran for mayor. I was working on his campaign, and I was posting as, you know, on that Facebook page, Newark Citizen. And so literally, Diane, everybody wanted to know who the hell Newark Citizen was. I'd be at debates posting, right? And one time there was a woman sitting right behind me. She was, I'm going to go see if Newark Citizen is saying anything about this debate. I'm literally like one row in front of her, a seat over. It was hilarious. And people were trying to figure it out. But there were people who knew who Newark Citizen was because they were there at 660. And then at some point somebody told, and the cat was out of the bag. But before that, it probably took them about 6 or so months. And it was the most hilarious thing. But anyway, that's how Newark Citizen was started. And then I changed it to Eric Dawson, and then just the Newark Citizen in parentheses. But, you know, I think that, you know, it's a place, I wanted it to be a place where we could come and have honest debate about the issues, right? In love, though, right? That we all understand that, look, at the end of the day, like I said, we're only as strong as our weakest link. So as a Black American, you know, I depend on you, right? And you gotta depend on me. Right? Even if you don't like me, right?
Yeah.
You gotta depend on me, because who else we got? We're in a land that despises us. They have despised us since they brought us here. Who else do we have? So you gonna hate me?
That's right.
You gonna hate me?
Absolutely.
I love you, sis. I love you all.
Love you too, Eric.
Have a great day. And we'll see you tomorrow. I gotta check in on Vincent. Vincent was all drugged up. I mean, in the hospital, not, you know, no illegal drugs. Yeah, I just gotta make sure I put, you know. Yeah. All right, guys. Stay well.